name is Ella Kate Maurice, and you are listening to More Than Child's Play with your host, my mommy, Lacey Maurice, and my Aunt Nicole Surgeon. They are authors, therapists, and most importantly, mommies. And man, can they talk. So sit back and relax and learn from their village. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the More Than Child's Play podcast. This is your host today, Nicole Surgeon, co-owner of Milestones and Miracles. I'm flying solo without my business partner and friend Lacey today to bring you a special episode that just kind of happened on the fly, which is why we're both not here today. But our guest today is a family member of mine, my cousin Tania. She is a resident in France. She lives in France, in the south of France. And she's going to talk to us today a little bit about her experience of raising a French-American child in France and raising a child who's bilingual, and just kind of the differences between parenting in Europe and parenting here. She's here visiting family for a few weeks. And so I just thought it would be interesting to get her take on what a lot of us are experiencing here in America, or if you're listening from around the world, somewhere else, and just kind of compare and contrast that. We do that a lot ourselves, and I find it kind of interesting. So I just thought it would be interesting to share with all of you. I will say, just as a disclaimer before we start, we were basically raised together, and she is pretty much like a sister to me. So we have a lot of shenanigans in our history together. So we've had a lot of professionals on our podcast. Not that she's not a professional, she is. But for this podcast, this is really more of family sharing. We'll try to keep the shenanigans to a minimum for you so that you can get our message. But I can't promise there won't be giggles here and there, because that's just the nature of our relationship. So, with all that said, welcome to the podcast, Tania.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
So, I guess first of all, just tell us a little bit about you. You are obviously raised with me here in West Virginia. How did you end up in France?
So, trying to make a long story short, I'm a bit of a lost human.
Not a lost human.
Oh, a little bit.
I have wanderlust.
Yeah. So I started out going towards a French degree. Didn't really know what I was going to do with that. So I ended up actually moving away to Rhode Island to pursue a culinary arts degree and career in the culinary world, which lasted a while. And then I kind of just went back to the first love of French and wanted to follow up with that. So I went back to school in Colorado to finish my French degree. And for my last semester, I studied abroad in France, in Aix-en-Provence, which is in the south of France near Marseille. So I actually knew I wanted to stay there a while. I did a teaching assistantship in a middle school there for a year after I finished my French degree. And then I found my husband, had a baby there, and just ended up staying in France.
So tell us a little about that baby. She's not quite a baby now, but...
She is not a baby anymore. She's 6 years old now. Her name is Lily Rose. And she is currently in what would be the equivalent of kindergarten. So next year she'll be in first grade.
So let's talk about a little bit about, I guess, the beginning of your parenthood journey. So when Tania told the rest of our family that she was expecting Lily Rose, we were all obviously overjoyed and kept close tabs on the pregnancy and the expectation of Lily Rose to come through FaceTime. We're lucky that technology helps us and we can still maintain close contact and relationship with technology. But there are some differences we noted between, not huge, but some differences between pregnancy and in terms of medical care in France compared to here. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Okay, so what are some of the things that were different? Well, first of all, I work in France. So I've worked in France pretty much since I've been there. So also they have a very they have universal health care. We have a very social system. So we do pay a good chunk of our salary into the social system. But that being said, we pretty much don't pay for any medical expenses. So every time I visit the doctor, I don't pay for anything. I come in with my medical card. And actually you do it's depending on which doctor. If it's the general doctor, you go in, you pay your $23.
That's your copay.
No, you pay and you get reimbursed by Social Security. So you get reimbursed by healthcare. Okay. So you pay up front and then they pay you back.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
So that's the general doctor.
Could you pick your OBGYN? Could you go anywhere you wanted?
Anywhere I wanted.
And would you say that you saw your doctor about the same as we did when we were pregnant? Like not so maybe once a month in the beginning and every couple weeks and then every week at the end?
Yes.
And so ultrasounds? You had ultrasounds?
I had ultrasound. So actually my and I know it's not the case with every OBGYN, but mine had she has an ultrasound in her office, like not the high performing one, but she has a mini one where she can monitor things in her office. And then for the term ultrasound, so I had three or four, I went to the hospital where she works, and that's where we did those.
Okay. And in addition to an ultrasound, you had...
I actually had a CAT scan. So my daughter was breech, which she pretty much was breech. I don't know when we learned she was breech, but it was a good while before. I went to see the osteopathic doctor to try to get her turned. I saw her a few times. I tried I tried a few different things to try to get her to turn around. She never did. So before I was set to give birth, they wanted to see if I could do a vaginal delivery or if I had to get a C-section. So they wanted to see if there was room with my bone structure, pelvis, if she could get through. So I did have a CAT scan, and so I was literally just listening to the doctor. I didn't think much of it because it was normal for them. And this came back to the family and everyone freaked out.
Well, because her sister is a nurse and I'm a physical therapist. So we have a few doctors and we were all like, what? And I can actually share the image when we post this. The image is sort of alarming. It's not what you normally see.
But it's very interesting.
It is interesting. And thank God Lily's fine. Tanya's fine. But it was just different. So then they decided that, okay, wait, let's back up a second. Did you see the midwife throughout the pregnancy in addition to the doctor or in place of the doctor?
In addition. So you go and see the midwife it's basically kind of like your Lamaze class. They talk you through all of that, help you visualize trees and things like that, which I didn't actually end up needing in the end because I did have a C-section in the end, because the C-scan showed that there wasn't my bone structure, my pelvis wouldn't allow a regular birth. So, but yes, the midwife we do see, in addition to the OBGYN, and there are midwives in the delivery room.
Okay,
there.
so you had a C-section.
So I had a C-section. It was actually programmed, but then I went into labor a couple of days before. So when you went into labor, they brought you to the hospital and did the C-section. So I called because I had my water started breaking, and they told me to come in, and so it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And so we went there, and actually they monitored me for a while. They were going to wait till my doctor was there in the morning. And after a couple hours of labor, they just said, well, we're not going to make you suffer for 5 more hours for no reason. We're just going to do it. So the on-call doctor did the C-section. And how many days were you in the hospital? 7 total. So I was in the hospital for a week. So that's a first difference. So I've had 2 C-sections, and I was there less than 48 hours. Which actually quite shocked me because I did not feel that I could have gone home within 48 hours. I was a mess. I was in pain. Yeah, I didn't walk for a couple days. But they got me up the same day as surgery. I did not.
So Lily stayed in the hospital with you.
Lily stayed in the hospital with me. My husband had a cot that he could sleep on if he wanted to.
Here.
And so, which he did several nights. And
while you were there, you got breastfeeding support?
Yes, I know they have lactation consultants and things here. I think it's changed because I now have my sister-in-law has just had a baby, and I think they're much more up on, like, she had a lot of people come in and help her with the breastfeeding. She had a lot of different services, like she could go in and have acupuncture and yoga and things. Like, they had services you could go do for free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which I didn't actually have. So it's changed in the last 5-6 years as well.
So 7 days you're in the hospital. What were you doing there? Just resting?
Resting a lot. To be honest, I had a rough few days after the, after the reason one of the reasons I had a really rough couple of days was, and I don't know if you had this actually, after the, I didn't actually have an epidural. I had a
spinal.
A rashy. Yeah, it must have been a spinal. So after that wore off, they gave me, what they said is that your uterus doesn't, when you have a C-section, doesn't contract by itself to go back to how it was, like you would with a regular birth. So they gave me some kind of medicine for that to happen, and I had these huge contractions. So I was like in enormous pain.
Yeah, I didn't have that. They just told me to breastfeed, and my uterus would contract when I was nursing.
See, they didn't. So that's a difference. They didn't tell me that. They made me suffer. And they were from what I understand too, like you can take some, I don't know what kind, or at least this is my impression of what I thought while I was suffering. I don't know if it's actually true, but I thought that you could have more powerful or more useful painkillers, which they were basically coming in, pulling out 2 Tylenol from their pockets and like it was, they were drug dealers saying, this is all you can have for the day. And God. I was in a lot of pain the first couple days.
So mostly you were resting.
Yes, I was resting.
So you came home.
And I didn't even give my daughter her first bath. So my Cameron did. Because I wasn't up yet. Like he gave her.
The hospital gives the bath here. Well,
they actually show you how to do it. Like they were next to him.
Yeah, they showed us that, but I wasn't there for that either.
Okay.
So you're not alone.
Okay.
So when you came home though, what is the medical support? Because I remember you had an osteopath visit the home to do like light adjustments, but adjustments on her.
Yeah, so just to back up for one quick second, when I was in the hospital, so I was actually set to leave after day 6. So day 6 I was set to leave, and I had to actually walk downstairs to fill out the paperwork to leave, and I was not well. Like there was a lot of emotions. I was still like in pain, and I was emotional. So they were just like, basically, we're not going to kick you out. If you need to stay another day, you stay another day. So there was that compassion side of things. And they do keep you longer if they feel it's necessary.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, coming home then, you see the midwife. I think you have 3 visits with the midwife and the baby.
They checked your incision.
They check the incision. They check the baby's weight.
They come to the house.
She comes to the house, or you go to her, depending on what's easiest for both of you. I think she came to the house the first time, and I went to her the second time.
Okay. I remember the osteopath came to your house.
Yes, the osteopath came to your house. The osteopathic doctors are very common in France. They're actually not covered by universal healthcare, but pretty much everybody I know goes to them. They're often covered partially by your secondary healthcare. So in France, you have your universal healthcare, but some things aren't completely covered, and you always have a secondary healthcare. Either you pay for it or it's with your job. And that was covered partially. The osteopathic doctor was covered partially by that secondary healthcare. And yes, she did come to the house and basically manipulate very softly. It's basically finger manipulation of just kind of putting things into place.
Spine.
Yeah.
It's interesting. As a PT, if you're a therapist listening and you've ever heard of or done a total motion release certification, and if you've done that certification or if you haven't, they talk a lot about fascial restrictions from being in the uterus for so long, and that almost every infant comes out with some preference in terms of symmetry to right and left. So when I heard that the osteopath came to kind of lightly balance her, I just think it would be interesting to see compare if that makes a positive difference in terms of delays associated with asymmetries, or if the rates of torticollis and plagiocephaly are as high. Just side note for the therapist in the audience. Okay, so
and she also worked inside the mouth, like she.
Speech therapist. Do you hear that? She did some oral manipulation to help with sucking. You don't know why?
I'm not sure why. Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly, I did it because, so I saw the osteopathic doctor a lot when I was pregnant, and basically all the French people I know see them 1 to 4 times a year. And it was just recommended. So I did it because they said it was good for the baby.
And what about breastfeeding? What's the culture of breastfeeding in France? Is it encouraged? Do most people breastfeed? Is there a mix like there is here of breast and formula?
There's definitely a mix. I think it's definitely encouraged, and I know it's at least the maternity where I gave birth, it's highly encouraged, but there's definitely a mix. I personally wanted to breastfeed. I breastfed until my daughter was about 17 months. So at the beginning, completely, I think we introduced food around 4 months, and then it was morning and evening. And then it was just evening towards the end of that 17 months. Yeah.
Right. And so there, I never felt this way, and I hope I never projected this way, but I know there are mothers who feel like here sometimes there's like a shaming of, you breastfed or you bottle fed. Is there any of like, do you pick up on that mommy culture there with food preferences, or it just doesn't matter?
No, I don't see a lot of the shaming and the whole public. So it's an entirely different culture, and in France, just to be blunt about it, I mean, boobs are just kind of more present. If you go to the beach, people are topless. I have friends, all my friends that have had babies, they'll breastfeed in front of you, no problem. I mean, and I get that here with friends, it's not necessarily a big issue.
Right.
But like so we went to visit a friend of mine from work who had a baby, and I was there with 2 male colleagues of mine. She breastfed in front of us. Like it wasn't, not really covered either.
Blanket.
No.
They don't use the covers. People don't sell the covers there.
It might start to be coming little by little. I don't know, but I haven't. To be honest, no. Like it's not a huge deal as far as I've seen, anyways.
So, because we focus a lot on early childhood development and noticing and encouraging those early milestones, I'm curious. Did you feel like your pediatrician paid close attention to her development when you went in for checks? Did they talk about her development specifically, or was it just like a general check of if she was doing the things she was supposed to be doing for her age?
I think yes, I think he was paying close attention. I don't necessarily think he was communicating all of that with me. He had, he has these things to, make sure she's hearing like the cow sounds and whatnot. But I specifically had to ask him what he was doing. He didn't necessarily communicate, this is for this reason. This is why I'm doing it. Did he
tell you, by 6 months she should be doing this, or these are things to work on?
Not that I remember, no.
Any like education on make sure you're putting her on the floor or putting her on her tummy?
So I think it may have been a bit different because I had a lot of questions because I talk to you a lot. And so you guys help me out and stress me out about certain things. So I think I go in there asking things as well because you're like, you need to ask this, and did you, or coming out of the visits, did you ask him this? Did you ask him that? I'm like, no, like I didn't necessarily think of that. But I think some of it is just me not necessarily knowing, so not necessarily paying attention to or not necessarily absorbing what he was asking me, but I think she is, she has, they have like I don't even know if we have this here. It's like a book to follow their growth. So all of the prescriptions that she has, all the sicknesses that she's ever had.
They used to have that here, like in the 70s when we went to Dr. Bright.
Okay.
Because mine's in the basement.
I don't have
cedar chest. But no, we don't have a book that we take back and forth. But I know what you're talking about.
So we still have that. And inside, their vaccinations are inside.
Yeah,
all of the sicknesses.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, all the sicknesses they've had. And then the growth curve.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lily Rose is bilingual. She speaks French obviously very well and English well too. There's a few things that still catch her up with English, but really it's very few. I'm just curious. I mean, obviously you knew from the beginning you were going to teach her both languages. How did you practically go about introducing her to two languages at the same time?
Okay. So basically she lives in a French environment. She has a French dad. She has French aunts and uncles there. She went to daycare in France, so everybody's speaking French. She goes to French school. So my job was just to speak to her in English all the time. That was my approach. There's nothing more to it than just, it was actually, it's actually an effort because I'm in a French environment too. I'm speaking French all day. So trying to speak to her as much as possible in English. And also when I did speak to her in French, I always tried to repeat myself in English so that she would get both and she would understand both. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think she understood French first, or did she understand them both at the same time? Or could you tell, did one come easier to her?
It depends on how you look at it. I think at the beginning, I was at the house with her. That was at the very beginning. She started to go to daycare at 8 months, I believe. So she was actually getting mostly English at a very early age. And so then when daycare starts, so she understood everything I was saying. She did a bit of sign language for the basic things at the beginning. And then she went to daycare and was obviously having more French than English because she spent, or at least equal. So I would say that as far as communication goes, the language part, as far as her communicating, the French came first, no doubt. But she understood everything in English. She understood everything I was saying. To communicate in English was harder for her. She spoke a lot of Franglish at the beginning, which was super cute, and I love it. What
age do you feel like the English started to emerge spoken more easily to her?
4 years old. 4 and a half.
So I've heard speech therapists that work with bilingual families that I work with will sometimes tell families, don't worry if there's a little bit of a delay because children learn receptively first. I understand first, and they're basically learning 2 labels for every single word.
So yeah, a lot of people did tell me, you were probably included in this, that she may speak later, like her communication may start later. I didn't find that actually. And actually in school and everything, she's one of the kids that is the most expressive and talks the most.
Imagine that. Yeah. That might be genetic though.
True.
So she might not be able to overcome that. And also just a side note, I think it's kind of funny. When she was little and they would FaceTime us, she would speak in French and not understand why I couldn't understand her. So she quickly had to learn which people in her family she could speak French to and which people she couldn't, because and even now she speaks English to us no problem, but if she's frustrated and wants to explain something to Tania, she switches to French because it's just faster for her, but she can do both if she needs to. It's interesting. Okay, so let's switch gears for a second. I just want to talk a little bit about some parenting topics, kind of compare and contrast here and there. So she went to daycare at about 8 months. What were the options? Is daycare easy? Is it expensive?
Okay, so there's 2 options with daycare. Basically, you have like the state-run daycare. So you apply for that. And basically, you need to apply as soon as you know you're pregnant because there's not a lot of spots. And the daycare, so I live in a smaller town. I don't live in a big town. And there's one daycare. And it's actually split up into two different ways. So there's one like central daycare where it's collective, and there's about 15 kids. I want to say the babies, there was 12, and maybe like with the middle-aged kids and the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds, there was maybe 1 and 2-year-olds, there was maybe 15. So there's not a whole lot of spots. And then they can also get you into their other type of daycares where they have like certified people who take up to 4 kids in their home. So they have several of those that they can place you in. And if you can't get into either of those, you have to find a nanny. So basically you hire an employee. So it's not as advantageous to you. So basically she was going to daycare.
How expensive was it?
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah. So she was going 4 days a week for 10 hours a day. So she went from
40 hours a week.
7 to 6. No, 7, maybe 7 to 5. Yeah, so about 10 hours a day. And we paid like $460 a month. In euros. So it's not that far off equivalent. I think it might be maybe 500, a little over $500 a month.
That's cheaper than here.
So that's subsidized. So if you were going to get a nanny, it would probably cost you 2 to 3 times that much. Yeah. But you can also declare that on your taxes. And
Right.
I
still think it's cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
And what about, we forgot to talk about maternity leave. How much is provided paid?
So paid, you get, I believe it's 2.5 months. I'm trying to remember. Sorry, it's 6.
At your full salary?
Yes. And then you can take what's called a parental leave. So it can be up to 3 years. Depending on your salary, you can get help from the government. It's about 380 euros a month. But that depends on how much you make a month.
For up to 3 years.
For up to 3 years. And they have to hold your job for you.
Interesting.
And you can also take that partially. So I took a few months. I took from 2.5 months to 8 months. So I took like 6 months parental leave. And then I came back at part-time. So I came back at 80%. So I worked every day but Wednesday when I came back to work.
Interesting. So at what age do kids start going to formal school there? Transition from daycare to school?
3 years old.
And would you say similar to preschool here, pre-K programs here?
I would think so. I mean, I have a hard time saying that because I never had a kid in preschool here, and I don't remember that time very well. But yeah, I think so. Basically, it's the starter to getting you into a collective environment, starting to give you the base to
share, take turns, stand in line,
learn colors, learn numbers,
hold a crayon, recognize shapes, read books.
Yes.
Got it.
Sing songs. Lots of songs.
What age do they start introducing formal reading there? Like sight words and sounding out phonetically, and Lily's starting to do that now. But is that with school or that's on her own?
No, she's starting to do that with school.
So kindergarten.
I would say last year she started doing that.
The equivalent of last year of pre-K / kindergarten, because her equivalency is kindergarten now.
Yeah.
So that's about the same too. Tell me about recess. My favorite topic. How many times a day does she get to go outside at school?
3 times a day. So they have a break in the morning. I believe it's like a short break, like 20 minutes. And then they have a 2-hour lunch. So that's the time where they eat. So they all go to the cafeteria, they sit down and eat, and then they go out and play. It's free play. So they don't have structured activities. In their courtyard, they have, a slide, a swing, that kind of stuff. And they also have like a boat and like these kind of cabins that they can play in. And
some children go home during that 2-hour period.
Yes. So either they eat lunch there or their parents come and pick them up and they have lunch at home and then they bring them back after lunch.
And they have a 2-hour period to eat and play.
Yes.
In the middle of the day.
Yes.
Are you paying attention, America? I hope you are. And then there's another one in the afternoon, another short break in the afternoon?
I believe so.
Shoo. It's wonderful. And, okay, so let's talk about school lunches. There's a cook, at school lunch.
So there's two different things. So in daycare, the cook was at the daycare. So it was fresh food brought in daily, cooked daily.
Okay.
The same company manages the school lunches, but they're cooked off-site and they're brought to the school. So just to give you an example, I just have the menu in front of me from yesterday. So basically it's very balanced. So they have like an entree, a meal, a cheese, a dessert every day. So from yesterday, it was grated red cabbage that was seasoned. For the entree was a beef bourguignon. They had apples on the side, and then they had some, I don't know what this kind of cheese is, but it's some kind of cheese. And then for dessert, it was organic fruit. So that's a typical school lunch.
And do people say it tastes good? Like, are there complaints?
I've never heard a complaint, and I've talked to the teachers about it, and they tell me she eats everything pretty much. Yeah. So
yeah, you can tell. If you have a kid in public school in the United States, you can see that varies greatly from most. Now, we've worked on our school lunch programs in the last decade probably, but still it's a different palette for certain. So let's talk a little bit too. You've talked about meals with me before, that in the toddler age, there's just not this culture of snacking. Mm-hmm. You don't see other moms carrying goldfish in their purses.
No, I've never seen that. I'm not even. I mean, that being said, I've not seen them carrying carrots either. I mean, it's not necessarily a chip thing versus a vegetable thing. It's just they don't carry around snacks with them. It's very ordered. So we do have three meals a day, and for the kids it's 4. So they have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack around 4:00. But it's very, strict without being mean about it. It's just that's just how it is.
That's the way it is.
That's just the way it is. Yeah.
Got it. And she mentioned to me before we started recording, not every restaurant has a kids menu. So yeah, and it is, we as well at home, she eats what we eat. And if she doesn't eat what we eat, she'll, like, if we make a dish with rice and a sauce or whatever, if she doesn't want to eat the sauce, she'll eat the rice with vegetables on the side or something. But we don't ever make a meal for her specifically. And she does eat but it might be also specific to my daughter, and she just likes to eat a lot of things. I would say that there are a lot of families in America that don't make a separate meal either. And there are a lot of families that do. But the restaurant thing is more interesting to me because almost any restaurant that welcomes families in America usually has a kid menu.
Yeah. It's interesting. We don't, to be honest, we don't go out to eat at restaurants a whole lot. But we do, when we're on holiday or we'll go out occasionally. And we generally just order her something off the menu. It's not, we don't have,
chicken fingers, grilled cheese.
No, definitely not.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So, when you were a new mom, did you feel like there were options to connect with other parents? Like, was there mom groups or mommy and me classes or...
Not that I saw. And again, I live in a smaller town, so those might be things that exist in bigger towns where there's more community, where there's more services, more activities. People are, I'm not sure, but I didn't have that experience personally. Yeah.
So sometimes in America, the argument can be made that those things are great. And I know for me, some of those things were saving in the time that I was home and away from work, just because I needed to get out. I'm just someone who needed to get out a little bit. But sometimes then that transitions without us even thinking into, well, I need to sign her up for gymnastics and we're going to take an art class and a lot of activities early on. Do you see that in French culture, activities for kids early on?
What do you mean early on? What age?
You can start soccer here at 3.
Okay. No, I actually wanted to find some activities for her at that age, and it was really hard because I did. My daughter's really active. She has a lot of energy to burn, and I wanted to find her something to help her burn that energy, and I really couldn't find anything until she was 4. So more starts at 4 years old, and you do have activities. So the first year we put her in gymnastics, and it's sort of like a dance, music, they're little, so they're 4 years old. So it's kind of just getting to know your body and getting to, know rhythms and stuff.
Creative movement.
Yeah. And, but nothing is competitive. Even now, she's 6. Like, she takes contemporary dance and a music class where they do a bunch of different instruments. But nobody I know has their kids like in an activity every day. It's once a week.
Which
once or twice a week.
Here is probably more common.
Okay.
I mean, my kids are in a lot of activities, but they're 13 and 15. And they probably weren't in things more than one day a week until closer to 8.
Okay.
So it'll be curious to see what happens with Lily and if it's that intense exhausting, whatever you want to call it, at her age. Do you feel like, here I always kind of laugh, and I don't know very many people who are like this, but I see the jokes online and stuff, are you a helicopter parent? Are you an attachment parent? Are you a free range parent? Are you, there's all these labels for how you parent. And one of my favorite authors says that her mother says to her, your generation has turned parenting into a verb. We didn't parent you. We were just your parents. And I think that's really, there's something to be said for that in terms of stress on the parent and stress on the child. Do you feel like parents in French culture are as, I want to choose my words carefully here, but in America, parents at this stage in the game in general, and I never say all parents because that's not true for anyone, but there is sort of like, I'm more helicopter-y than my parents were, even though I try not to be. I try to let my kids have their own experiences, and I think we have. But compared to our parents' generation, more hands-on, more involved. Do you see that in French culture, or is it kind of the way we were parented where like, yeah, go, come back later, play?
Okay, so I do think we don't live in the same world as our parents lived in, and right. I do think not by nature, but by necessity, we have become that way. So yeah, I would say that we are more that way as well, just because they can't just go run,
we were gone for hours in the neighborhood.
We walked to our grandmother's house 45 minutes away, no problem.
Right.
I would never let her do that, no.
Right.
Never.
So that's not an American thing. That's a 2019 thing, you would say.
Yeah. But there is the whole, we do try to, we're going to let her go outside and do whatever she wants.
Yeah, we let our kids play outside.
Right. It's not, obviously. It's just, I just think we live in a different world, and we try to give her as much freedom as possible and try, obviously when she's playing with her friends, not to come in and every time there's, a little thing, try to control the situation, let her deal with it.
Do you see parents, like, is there a lot of, like, setting up play dates early on and, like, structuring their child's social development early on? Or is it just kind of like you can play with your friends at daycare or you can play with your friends at school?
No, it wasn't my experience. My experience was more we had friends who had kids and she played with those kids because we needed a life too.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But some of those kids were in so one of her good friends is one of our good friends, and she was in daycare with them, not in school and with her anymore, but we see each other often. So
it just sort of happened naturally.
It happened naturally, but there wasn't like play date. Oh, now that you say that, now that I think about it, once she started school, a couple of the parents contacted us saying, my girl really likes to play with Lily Rose. Do you think she could come over?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that started a little bit once. That was probably, did that start last year? That was probably last year. Yeah.
Interesting. So that doesn't sound like it's that different either. Yeah. So is there anything that you can see compared to seeing the rest of your family parent our kids versus parenting her that we haven't talked about that you notice different culturally? I mean, we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about activity and feeding and daycare and school, and we might have covered it all, but I'm just curious. Like,
I'm just trying to
when
think.
you moved to France, do you remember anything sticking out when you had a kid that was like, oh, I don't know that they do it like this at home?
Gosh, I wish I would have thought of that question before. I'm on spot. I can't think.
I think we've covered it all, but I just wanted to make sure.
If we do think of something, we'll have to put it in the comments.
Yeah, we'll have to add it in the comments. Okay, well, I hope that this has been interesting to all of you. Thanks for chatting with me.
No problem.
Maybe if someone is dreaming of moving to France, this will help them to see what it's like to parent in another culture. And also, too, I think really helpful just to hear about the experience of raising a bilingual child, because probably there's more people out there considering raising bilingual children than moving off to France, although there might be some. So I think that's helpful and interesting more than anything.
And if you are hesitating about doing that, do it. If you speak another language, you should speak to your child in that language. They are sponges. It's just natural to them. And it's
easier than you thought it was going to be.
It's so easy. And easy. Yeah, it's so easy. And it's so interesting and fun to watch them navigate through those two languages and play with them and just watch that grow. It's really fun.
Great. So as always, you can find out about More Than Milestones and Miracles online at milestonesandmiracles.com. We have a wide range of resources available to you. Everything from lots of free content on our blog. We have our award-winning 123 Just Play With Me that does that really good job of identifying specific milestones at each age and stage and pairing them with purposeful play so that you can be your child's first teacher. That's available in print and in ebook format. If you're joining us as a therapist, there's a special link there for you. Or if you're an early childhood educator, there's a professional tab there that has some downloads. There's also access to reach our online continuing education courses and a pretty hefty discount through MedBridge Education if you're looking for CEUs. We're also pretty active on social media, and we love to engage with people from all over to share our experiences, but more importantly, to hear your experiences and your needs. So make sure you find us and check us out, and we look forward to hearing from you sometime soon. Bye-bye.